thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes. Yeah. Good morning, you guys. It is Friday, March 20th, 2026. And today is National Macaroon Day.
I love macarons. Shout out to Bottega Louie. Oh,
Bottega Louie is pretty good.
So good.
Yes. Not mad at that. Let's see. It's also National Future Generations Day.
I would sing Whitney Houston, but it's early.
Oh, please spare us. Please spare us.
Shut up.
It's also National Proposal Day today.
Huh.
Yeah. Look at that.
Promposal?
No. Promposal, that was last week. This is actual proposal. Actual proposal. Yeah.
I choose to see that in a business sense. So.
Mm-hmm. It's also National Native HIV/AIDS Awareness Day.
Oh boy, HIV/AIDS has a whole lot of lobbying.
They got a lot of lobbying, that's for sure.
They got a lot of days, bro.
It's also National Ravioli Day, Dr. Mark. I know what Dr. Mark's having for dinner.
Yeah. I love raviolis.
See what I'm saying?
They're just Italian pierogies.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. And let's see. And, of course, today it is officially the first day of spring. Spring begins today, you guys.
Spring is sprung.
Look at that. Spring is sprung. Look at that.
It was 100 degrees yesterday at Hall of Flowers.
Mm-hmm. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. There's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website, www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone join us from any one of those platforms. And doctors, I have a very interesting story for you guys today to kick this thing off today, because there is a new study, you guys. Dr. T, right on time. Look at that, Dr. T. A study that says CBD restores key mitochondrial function in cells from rare genetic disorder Barth syndrome. Okay.
Oh boy, Jason have to sound stuff out.
You know, I love Fridays. The new study published in the FASEB journal found that cannabidiol CBD restored several major cellular and mitochondrial defects.
Mitochondrial.
Yeah, that's what I said. I thought. No, did I not? Did I mess it up?
I think you switched the CH with the T, but that's okay.
Okay, mitochondrial.
Forget it.
Mitochondria.
Yeah, mitochondrial.
So T first. T first.
Mito. Yes, I'm sorry. Mitochondrial. Yes. All right. Fair enough. Mitochondrial defects in immune cells derived from people with Barth syndrome, a rare inherited disorder that can cause serious metabolic and immune-related complications. Researchers from the University of Waterloo examined B lymphoid blastoid cells taken from patients with Barth syndrome, which is caused by mutations in the tafazin gene. That gene plays a key role in remodeling cardiolipin,
Cardiolipin.
Yes, cardiolipin. Yes, thank you. Cardiolipin, a phospholipid necessary phospholipid. Thank you, sir. Necessary for healthy mitochondrial function. That's right.
Yay! That was great. I like that.
Although the disorder is best known for causing cyclic neurotropenia, researchers
cyclic neuropenia.
Sounds like an Italian dish. Sounds like an Italian dish. Yes. Researchers say neutropenia. Researchers say growing evidence indicates it may also contribute to lymphonia or lymphonocrite levels. In the study, treatment of one funny-looking U, capital M, of CBD. Micromolar. Okay. All right. 1 micromolar of CBD restored the growth of Barth syndrome-derived cells to levels seen in healthy control cells. The treatment also fully restored total cellular cardiolipin concentration and normalized the ratio of monocylochondrial to cardiolipin, a key marker of the disorder. However, CBD did not restore the fatty acid composition of cardiolipin. Researchers also found that CBD improved mitochondrial performance and it significantly increased maximal coupled state 3 respiration in the Barth syndrome cells. And all 5 Barth syndrome donors tested showed improved mitochondrial membrane potential. Mitochondrial membrane potential after treatment. CBD also fully reversed deficits in sustainate dehydrogenase subunit A, a partially reversed deficits in cytochrome C oxidase subunits 1 and 4, while partly restoring 1 mitochondrial that's what I thought I said, mitochondrial supercomplex. The researchers say the findings point to CBD as a possible therapeutic option for Barth syndrome-related B lymphonia, although they stress that more research is needed to determine whether these effects translate into clinical benefits in patients. Wow.
That one right.
Hey, thank you, doctors, for all of your help. I really, truly appreciate that, and I'm here for all of the corrections, just so you know. So don't, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate that very much. Thank you very much. All right, Barth's. It's definitely not St. Barth's, you guys. Break it down, doctors.
So Barth is a genetic disorder. It's of metabolism linked to the X chromosome. So if you will pass it on to, if you're a woman and you have the gene, the mutation, you pass it on to about 50% of your kids. And if you're a man who has it, since it's linked to the X chromosome, you only pass it on to your daughters. And it is a deficiency that makes you tired, basically. You get it at birth and it stunts your growth. So you get weakness, you get fatigue,
Really?
You get growth stunt. Yeah. So what they've found is that giving CBD probably early in life seems to have some beneficial effects. So we'll follow this, see where it goes. Exciting news.
Jason, do you know why you had to keep saying mitochondrial?
What's that, Jenny Beth?
Because the mitochondria are the cellular energy plant. 90% of your cell's energy comes from. See, I did get a pretty bad degree. But hey.
I'm all about the energy. I remember in elementary school the song "I Am Energy." Yes. Any thoughts on this?
Were you a cheerleader in school?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I attended school. You know, I actually did really well in school.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And you were on the cheerleading squad?
Definitely never that.
Oh, okay.
Never that.
That was me. That was me.
No, I was a player. Always know that, Dr. T. I was always a player.
You're a player, huh?
A player.
Jason's class had 2 teachers in it, though. Don't let that go over your head.
Yeah, me and the teacher. You're right. Very, very, very true, Jenny Beth. I was constantly having to educate these teachers, tell them all the things that they were missing in the educational process. Dr.
So
Mark.
we have no cure for this Barth syndrome. So this is kind of exciting that CBD once again is coming in and filling in the holes of what traditional medicine hasn't been able to do.
Now, I'm wondering, Dr. T, is it better? It sounds like they only did the study with just pure CBD, but do you think that possibly with some type of ratio you would have alternate results, or possibly even better results if you were using like a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1 or 10-to-1 or anything like that?
I'd say, CBD specifically affects PPAR, which I'm guessing is how it gets into the cell and influences the mitochondria. So I don't know if THC does that. I think it does, but maybe not with a different type of PPAR. I'd have to look into what it is. So basically your question is, does THC help also? It may, but CBD I know helps because of its effect on people again.
And because of this study.
And the other studies.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this, Dr. Mark, before we move on?
Yeah. Well, let's see. How do I break this down? Okay. So the mitochondria is a very important. So let's see. I don't even know how basic to get, right? Okay. So cells are made of. So cells are important things, right? Cells make up tissue. Tissue make up organs, right? We all have organs.
Yep.
So cells are kind of like the building blocks, right? So within a cell, there are things called organelles that do very important things for the cell. And the mitochondria is one of those organelles. And the primary function of the mitochondria is to convert food energy into usable energy for biological processes that cells need. So these are very specific to different cells. And what's known in most cases is that there's a very tight regulation of calcium levels within these cells to maintain homeostasis. And that's where the cannabinoids intersect, John. I think there's a way that, so mitochondria are key players in apoptosis and programmed cell death. And I think we've talked about PPAR gamma as being this nuclear receptor that basically the cannabinoids act on. We've also talked about TRPV1, which is the vanilloid receptors. These are all receptors beyond the conventionally what's known as CB1 and CB2. But the key output from a healthy mitochondria is ATP, and the cell uses ATP for energy as an energy source. So extremely important for cellular function. So yeah, very good to see this data. We know that CBD has all kinds of beneficial effects. Don't need to be actually associated with a particular receptor. They could be non-receptor effects too as well.
Or multiple receptor.
Or multiple receptors, right? Like we don't even know probably. There's probably a cannabinoid receptor 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to infinity. We just don't know them yet. Yeah, we only know about the first two.
So are you saying that CBD basically says to infinity and beyond, Dr. Mark?
Yeah, well, CBD helps in that it, like John said, it hits a number of different targets.
Mm-hmm.
I think the targets responsible for the activity within mitochondria, again, have to relate to when cells are damaged. Like they need to know that cell needs to die, right? And so that's, again, part of that process that we call apoptosis or programmed cell death. And so mitochondria basically govern that by shutting down, right? So you want to shut down mitochondria in your damaged cells, but not affect mitochondria in other cells. And so there's all kinds of ways. And like I said before about calcium, we've talked about calcium and release of pro-inflammatory cytokines. So these are important cellular signals that happen in the body to make sure that immune responses are dialed in to, fight something that, an attacking virus or some type of pathogen or biocide or something like that.
Interesting stuff.
I hope I broke this down at a reasonable level.
No, I mean, how you say it, how it's hitting multiple targets. It's kind of like, I guess, CBD is basically like a shotgun, Dr. Mark, because it could hit multiple things all at the same time.
Well, it helps. And John, am I correct? Just maintaining homeostasis is so many different things, right? So many different things. Like it's talking about your blood pressure, talking about your temperature, talking about apoptosis, when cells need to die, they need to die and not become cancerous. So isn't that true, John? So like most people's endocannabinoid tone, right, is kind of like indicative of like what they're getting through their diet and their own nutrition to support their bodies to make endocannabinoids. Sometimes people need to supplement that with the phytocannabinoids. And this is just basically figuring all that stuff out, right?
Yeah, I love the theory. I think we've got to prove it, but it's high on my list of something I'd love to prove. Yeah, well, first of all, defining the endocannabinoid tone has to be, clarified how we define that, and then showing what the effects of adding the phytocannabinoids to that are doing to the tone. That would be some really empirical studies that would set us all off in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, there's a delicate dance that's played by our body's own immune system, right, which is trying to keep us at homeostasis, right, and certainly like supplementing with phytocannabinoids, it makes sense from the point of view that they have very little side effects, or you're not going to get damage from taking CBD, but certainly if you look at where CBD acts on, you can understand, oh yeah, that's going to help my body, right? So inhibiting the release of pro-inflammatory cytokines is going to reduce inflammation. Being less full of stress, like what CBD does to you, the anti-high, right? That's going to lower your blood pressure. It's healthy. That's all, providing stimulus to your body that's going to put you in a healthier state.
Yeah. What we're saying is cannabis is not a magic bullet. It's changes many things and sort of changes the environment that you're living in. And so it sort of supports that environment in a way. So it's a different thing than just an antibiotic, for instance, that kills the bacteria.
Interesting.
Yeah. And hopefully it works in concert with your own body's immune system. And you're not fighting your immune system, right?
I see what you guys...
You're almost in a nutritional way, sort of supplementing your own immune system.
I see what you guys did there with working in concert for that entourage effect. And on that, we're going to roll into our first commercial.
But I think that's an important point. It's not a pharmaceutical. It's a nutritional supplement. Yeah, and I know some people are trying to push it as a pharmaceutical, like Epidiolex, but most people are using it more like a nutritional supplement.
Yeah, I like to call it a nutraceutical.
That's what everybody calls it, Jason.
That's what I like to call it. I'm glad everyone's
I'm just really
following
proud of
along.
you for getting that word out right. Let's get you some liberal tears and roll into our first verse.
We're going to go into our first commercial, and we're going to be right back.
As bad as Democrats,
the backstabbing rhino Republicans.
President Trump has fought and delivered, but liberal young Kim is a Trump hater. Kim voted to censure President Trump, but voted against censoring Adam Schiff.
I don't work for President Trump. I will oppose him in the strongest terms. I'm not running for the party of Trump.
Republicans proudly stand with President Trump, but not Trump-hating liberal young Kim. Americans for Security is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Yes, and we are back, you guys. And
Coming up again is Jason Beck, the highest Republican, the host and the head honcho of the High at 9 News. And please join us as he learns to read.
Yeah, hey, I'm going to med school, you guys, on High at 9 News. You know what I'm saying? With my higher education. You know what I mean? A study finds cannabinoids may help protect cognitive function in Parkinson's disease, you guys. That's right. A study published today in Neuroscience by researchers from the Russian Academy of Sciences find that cannabinoid-based treatments may have potential to help preserve cognitive function in people with Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is best known for causing tremors, stiffness, or other movement-related symptoms, but it can also lead to serious non-motor issues, including problems with memory, thinking, and overall cognitive function. According to the review, these cognitive changes are closely tied to neuronal plasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize itself, which is influenced in part by the endocannabinoid system. The researchers examined experimental and clinical evidence involving endogenous cannabinoid, plant-derived cannabinoids, and drugs that alter endocannabinoid signaling. They found that these compounds may affect several key processes involved in Parkinson's disease, including synaptic plasticity, neuronal excitability, and neuroinflammation. All of these are believed to play an important role in how the disease develops and progresses. Cannabinoid-based interventions hold promise for preserving neural circuits and modulating cognitive function in Parkinson's disease, states the study. And at the same time, the review makes clear that human research remains limited. The authors note that available clinical studies are often small and use different cannabinoid formulations and doses, and frequently measure cognition as a secondary outcome rather than the main focus. They also say differences in treatment length, study design, and patient characteristics make it difficult to compare results. The primary reason for the lack of clinical trials is cannabis's Schedule I status under federal law, making research difficult. And even with those limitations, the review says cannabinoids may hold value as a tool for protecting neural circuits and influencing cognition in Parkinson's disease. The authors stress that more rigorous trials using standardized cognitive measures are needed before doctors can make reliable treatment recommendations. Look at that. I got through that whole study without any of you doctors having to correct me. What do y'all have to say about that?
Hey, I have to correct you too, but you did a good job, Jason. We're proud of you.
Pretty good. Pretty good at that, huh? Look at that.
Well,
I must have some
endogenous cannabinoids, not androgynous, but I didn't say anything.
Okay. Please.
I let it roll.
All right. Well, just know that I appreciate all corrections constantly. So, I'm constantly working to be better at this, you guys. Constantly working. It's a daily chore.
That's your superhero talent.
Yes.
Jason.
I'm trying to make sure I maintain my neurotropic plasticity.
Exactly. You understand it well.
Oh, I understand it well. Yeah. No, I understand this. I actually know someone who's having severe memory loss, and that was exactly how they explained the neuroplasticity thing, is how your brain is kind of like a rubber band, and you have to keep on working it and stretching it out to keep it rigorous and viscous, so then that way you're able to access all the memories appropriately. Otherwise the rubber band kind of tightens up and kind of basically puts a stranglehold on you being able to remember certain things.
Do they have Parkinson's?
I don't know of that to be the case. I'm not. If I was to say if it's Parkinson's, I would say it's not.
Okay. Well, if any of you guys know anyone with Parkinson's, I've got a free bottles of from CBX Therapeutics, who's designed a formula for Parkinson's, 4 cannabinoids in there. He's giving the bottles away for free, so let me know.
Oh well,
that's awesome.
I'll send you their new address, Dr. T. And we'll see if it helps them at all with any of it, because I know that they would be open to trying it.
That would be great.
Yeah. But I know that they've been getting some specialized treatments from some specialized brain doctors and whatnot in regards with this. So, you know, I'm not sure if it's necessarily that, but I know that is one of the main things. And like, they're not supposed to have sugar in their diet and different things like that. So, and they say that that's one of the main causes of this cognitive decline is the amount of sugar in your diet.
Interesting. Sugar has been blamed for a lot of things. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, shit.
Easy there. Any thoughts on this, Dr. Mark? Did you lose your memory?
I'm just scanning through the paper right now. It seems really interesting. I mean, it's an interesting study. What I would say again is, in most cases, you would assume that anything that acts on the more advanced areas of the brain, like the neurocortex and everything, is going to have some kind of effect. What's interesting, Dr. T, if you look at the pathology of the disease, is it does seem to have some of the same kind of things that Alzheimer's does, but it's different, right? You don't see the amyloid plaques or tau tangles, but just changing of the morphology of the brain, you know. Changing the circuitry, and you rewire, the brain tries to rewire itself. I know in some cases with Parkinson's, with extreme cases where people have are they called the jitters or the shivers or
Tremors? Yeah.
Tremors. Okay,
oh man,
that cannabis does help reduce tremoring, right? And have you seen that, Dr. T, in some patients?
Yeah. Absolutely. Many times.
But it doesn't go away. It's a way of treating tremoring, right? It doesn't cure the underlying cause. Right.
Well, now we're finding out that maybe CBD may be affecting the underlying cause, or helping you generate new nerve cells, so that you can counteract the loss of the dopamine producing cells of Parkinson. Yeah.
It's amazing if you look at Meshulam's movie, The Scientist, that's up on YouTube. I think we've referred to it a couple times. There's a little episode at the end where they show some old guy who's, again, having difficulty even holding the lighter to light his pipe. But he takes a few drags off of the pipe, and he stopped shivering.
You know what? Oh, I saw that.
Tremoring, yes.
I saw that. You know,
the YouTube video? Yeah, that's a popular one.
I remember the first time I learned of Parkinson's disease. The very first time, I was a very young kid, and we were out at a restaurant, and there was this very elderly man that was sitting across from us, and I felt so bad for this guy. He was just sitting there all by himself, very, very senior age guy, and he ordered a bowl of soup. And he goes down and scoops the soup, and every time, by the time he gets the spoon up to his mouth, there's basically no liquid left in the spoon. I felt so bad for this guy.
The guy is straw.
Oh man, you know.
Yeah.
that actually.
That was it on the Carol Burnett show. That's.
Oh familiar. Man, I just felt really bad for this. Like, I was really young. I was probably maybe 5 or 6 years old when I remember this. My first encounter. I felt really bad for that guy. I was like, oh man, that's a tough one right there.
Side story. It sounds like exactly the skit from the Carol Burnett show. I just don't know if this is.
It was definitely.
Remember that study we talked about last week, where cannabis can sometimes fill words in and make you remember things that never happened?
No, I clearly remember this exactly happening. I could tell you exactly where I was and exactly all of this. So it's
what kind
not.
Of was it?
Huh?
What kind of soup was it?
It was like a minestrone soup the guy had. because it was like there was some chunky in there, so that's probably why they didn't offer him a straw, because it wasn't like tomato soup or anything. You know what I mean? Maybe it was chicken noodle, or something like that. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, we got a new use for CBD, so that was good news. And
Look at that. Look at that. Well, on that, we're going to roll right into Dr. Jean Talleyrand. He's the founder of the CESC and of Medican, where you can get your doctor's recommendations online all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is none other than Dr. Jean Talleyrand.
Thank you, Jason. Happy Friday, everyone. So my article today is from Science Alert. Large medical cannabis review finds scarce evidence it treats mental health disorders. This is by Carly Casella. A large umbrella review has found no strong evidence to date that medicinal cannabis can effectively treat several mental health disorders, including anxiety, psychotic disorders, or PTSD. An absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, but the findings do underline just how much more research needs to be done to understand medicinal cannabis and ensure prescribed drugs are both safe and effective for the individual. The review, led by researchers at the University of Sydney, Australia, included health data from 2,477 participants across 54 randomized controlled trials on medicinal cannabis conducted between 1980 and 2025. That's over 45 years. So that's not a very large number in 45 years. Overall, it reveals relatively weak evidence that cannabinoids were beneficial compared to a placebo for most mental health conditions examined. Still, that may be a reflection of weak methodologies used in the past, more than cannabis's actual performance. The review is the largest analysis of its kind to date, according to the authors, and yet it included just 8 trials on psychotic disorders, 6 trials on anxiety disorders, and 3 on PTSD. There was insufficient data to meta-analyze studies exploring cannabinoid treatments for ADHD, bipolar disorder, OCD, and tobacco use disorder. What's more, there was no eligible randomized controlled trial testing how useful cannabinoids are for treating depression. A little over half of the trials included in the review only followed up with participants for less than a month, and the cannabis products were typically taken orally via droplets or tablets. Some of the drugs being tested contained THC, while others contained compounds like CBD or a mix, making them difficult to compare. It's also challenging to double-blind these trials, as participants taking THC rather than a placebo often know because of the psychoactive effects of the THC. Another hurdle lies within broad categories like anxiety. Some of the trials included in this review focused on patterns with generalized anxiety, while others focused on those with social anxiety. If cannabis does have a positive impact on mental health, the drug is unlikely to work the same way for everyone, which means the future research needs to be very specific. If nothing else, this review shows that there's a crucial need for randomized controlled trials with larger and more representative samples. Depression, anxiety, and PTSD are 3 of the most common mental health conditions in the world, and they encompass a huge diversity of complex interacting symptoms. The way patients respond to standard treatments is highly varied, and finding solutions often requires years of trial and error. Antidepressant drugs and cognitive behavioral therapy are first-line options to treat anxiety and PTSD, but their effects often take weeks or longer to kick in, and while they do help many people, a substantial proportion of patients experience only partial benefit or no benefit at all. Side effects and tolerability can also limit their use. Some scientists are concerned by this, as the impact of cannabis on mental health remains poorly understood, and in some cases it's possible the drug may exacerbate symptoms of anxiety or psychosis. Other patients with PTSD, anxiety, or other mental health disorders, however, report finding medical cannabis helpful in alleviating their symptoms. Disagreement reigns on how to balance the pros and cons of cannabis for conditions that do not respond to available treatments, and legislation varies from nation to nation. When it comes to historically illicit substances like cannabis and other psychoactive drugs, such as ketamine, psilocybin, and ecstasy, the potential benefits to health are only now being put to the test, as are the potential risks. Far more research is needed to understand what impacts these drugs have on the brain and body and how they perform against placebos and standard treatments. So I saw this story and a lot of other stories with similar titles on the internet this week. I wondered, why is this news? Why was it actively promoted this week? All of the headlines seem to indicate that there is inconclusive evidence that cannabis or cannabinoids help with mental health issues. So we've known all along that we need more evidence and better evidence. I disagree that the evidence should be randomized clinical trials. Real-world evidence has already demonstrated that cannabis has a significant effect on mood and mental health. Real-world evidence is more appropriate measure of the benefits of cannabis. And based on multiple news articles with this topic, it appears to me that someone or some entity is trying to sabotage the use of cannabis for mental health this week. Don't know why. I'd like to contradict this article and encourage people with mental health disorders to try cannabis with guidance from a health practitioner. It's likely to be exactly what you need. This is Dr. Jean Talleyrand with High at 9 News.
Yeah, this study pissed me all the way off, Dr. Talleyrand, because I personally used cannabis and when I was diagnosed with PTSD, because I don't take benzos, I don't believe in that, but a couple dabs and I was feeling a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So I was going to cover this story too, so I'm really glad that it did get covered because, yeah, it just pissed me right off. And look at my bronchi.
What is that?
Got a cinnamon roll and some strawberry. Shout out to Phoebe.
It's not ravioli, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, why are they doing this? And why was it blasted on a lot of little?
I have an idea why. I have an idea why. You guys probably aren't gonna like it though. You guys probably aren't gonna like it, but I do have an idea why.
We don't like a lot of your opinions. Just spit it out, Charlotte.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so basically, Trump is moving it to Schedule 3, or is working to get it done to Schedule 3. And so since the Democrats, because I've seen this publication come out in a lot of liberal-leaning CNN, New York media and whatnot, and it seems as though they're taking like a shift on trying to promote cannabis as something positive and trying to, do basically a whole reefer madness 180 spin on all of it. And I'm willing to bet that it's probably because Trump is pushing for Schedule 3 and is pushing for cannabis. So they can't be for anything that Trump is pushing for. So therefore they want to try to push out the negative on cannabis now to try to steer public opinion. That's my, underlined theory on it.
Cool. Or somebody's coming out with a new pharmaceutical drug for mental health.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I would point toward the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, they are involved in some level, maybe through Trump, who knows, or through the other party, who knows. But pharma is involved in this.
That's funny how you said that, Dr. T. I like that, the other party. That was great. That was great.
I should say the other parties.
Any thoughts on this, Dr. Mark, on my conspiracy theory?
Yeah, I don't think that conspiracy theory holds up at all.
I hope it doesn't.
This is just Kevin Sabat and those people who don't want to see cannabis, which includes, for-profit prisons, the drug testing industry, which is $1 billion industry. I guess we should mention alcohol and tobacco. They don't want cannabis. So yeah, there's a lot of powers to be who are making a lot of money on keeping cannabis good and illegal and Schedule 1. It ain't Schedule 3. That was just a
It's a blip in the wind, huh?
Kindergarten play. It was just a farce. There's no Schedule 3. It's Schedule 1.
It is Schedule 1. You are right.
Here's the thing. The thing. Whenever you do a meta-analysis, Dr. T, you've seen this kind of thing, right? This isn't actually researchers who are in the field doing research. This is a bunch of armchair athletes, keyboard warriors, who are just using artificial intelligence to survey things that are out there in the literature. Can you find studies that show that cannabis has issues treating? Perhaps, right? And those are going to get picked up in a meta-analysis. So this paper and this story, I mean, I don't say not Dr. T's covering the story. This story is not worth the paper it's fucking written on.
Easy
This
there.
is just a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of researchers who basically wanted to drive a car over cannabis, and now they did a meta-analysis which basically proves their theory. So they're in love with their own thinking. Always be careful of researchers who are in love with their own thinking, right? Any good scientist will tell you that you could have one result in the laboratory or one result in the clinic that completely changes your thinking. And there's definitely a little bit of neuroplasticity that needs to exist in the brain of a scientist, right? So whenever you do these meta-analyses, and you could do lots of meta-analyses on everything, it's really not worth the paper it's written on. All these people should have taken the money that they got for doing this meta-analysis and go actually do some original research that actually proves or disproves whether cannabis is useful, right? There's many papers, and we've covered them here on High at 9, that shows that cannabis and cannabinoids are useful at treating behavioral type disorders. So can I steer a meta-analysis to basically focus on those studies? Yeah, but I wouldn't waste the time doing it because we already know they exist.
Oh man, that was fantastic, Dr. Mark. And on that, we're gonna
Except for dropping the F-bomb.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
it's all right. We're getting better. We're getting better. I know you get, you know what I'm saying, all up at you sometimes, and we'll be right back.
I'm doing really good.
For this, yes.
And rescheduling cannabis, which was classified as more dangerous than fentanyl. Trump's action will destroy the cartel's illicit black market, expand medical research, and ensure seniors and veterans safely receive the care they need. Thank President Trump for delivering on another America First promise.
Waste of time, waste of money, doesn't impress me.
Yes,
Sorry.
and on that, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. And all the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read on our website at www.high9news.com. And make sure, please, that you are following us on X and Rumble, as those are the two most stable platforms on the metaverse.
Under President Trump, America is back. Trump's delivered the largest tax cut in history, putting more money in our pockets and restored America's economic dominance. Promises made, promises kept. Now it's time to fulfill another promise from President Trump and reschedule cannabis, which supports over 400,000 jobs and creates billions of dollars in economic growth. Reschedule cannabis and stack another win, Mr. President. America First Agriculture Action Inc. is responsible for the contents of this advertising.
Oh, yes.
Mark's like, yeah, that'll happen.
And we are back. And I guess, you know, everyone's saying in the chat, so we'll say it as well. You know, rest in peace to Mr. Chuck Norris, an American hero.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, American badass. You know what I'm saying? And on that, another badass, Dr. Mark Scialdone. He's out in the great Green Mountain state of Vermont, over at St. Michael's College. Not university.
Oh, at home now.
Oh, he's at home. He's at home researching the kitchen on National Ravioli Day, trying to figure out whether he's going to put cheese or meat in his raviolis today. It is none other than Dr. Mark Scialdone.
Well, thank you, Jason. Yeah, I was gonna make a ravioli joke, but I forgot. I love raviolis, you know. But I like them all. I like the spinach and lobster raviolis. I like the vegan raviolis with the squash. So yeah, I like them all.
Yeah.
Anyway, who doesn't like good pasta, right?
Yeah.
If you don't like good pasta, you must not be alive. Okay. All right. So today, my story comes from, where does it come from? It comes from Frontiers in Veterinary Science. And there's a reason why I'm talking about this today. This was actually an article from last month, but Jason granted me license to be able to talk about this, and it's entitled Physiological Effect and Pharmacokinetic Evaluation of Combined Oral Administration of Cannabidiolic Acid and Cannabigerolic Acid in Dogs, right? Dogs, right? We all love dogs, right? Who doesn't love a dog, right? I was a dog owner. I'm still a dog owner. We lost a dog recently, and he had a growth on his spleen, we found out in back in June. And some people probably would have had him put to sleep right then and there, but we brought him home, and he had another 8 months with us before he succumbed. But during that period, I did my own research, and I did end up making what I call, so the dog's name was Floyd, and we made something called Floyd oil, which was a 1-to-1 CBG CBD oil, kind of higher dosed, again, to kind of give him a little bit of comfort. And we didn't know if the medicine helped him at all. I mean, certainly he seemed like he had good quality of life up until his last day. So it's just so ironic that when I see this paper is also, Jean, a 1-to-1 CBG to CBD, exactly what I came up with. But in their case, John, it's interesting because they're using whole plant extracts, and so it's the cannabinoid acids. And like we've talked about here on High at 9 News, the cannabinoid acids have unique and distinctive pharmacology from the neutral decarboxylated cannabinoids. So you almost think like the best medication, a best full spectrum, John, would be one where you have partial decarboxylation, but you still have the acids present. So you'd want to have the acids, because that's exactly what they're talking about in this study right here. Because again, the acids have very, very distinct pharmacology. So I'll just read the introductions, methods, results, and conclusion from the paper. So the study of hemp-based cannabinoids has focused primarily on CBD. Cannabis sativa, however, naturally synthesizes cannabidiolic acid, CBDA, as opposed to its better known neutral derivative, right? So when you smoke cannabis flower that has CBDA in it, the heat from your lighter decarboxylates, and so what you're actually, inhaling is not CBDA, but it's CBD, just like THCA decarboxylates to give THC. So the precursor to cannabidiolic acid, CBDA, is cannabigerolic acid, or what we call CBGA, right? And cultivar extracts that contain both acidic cannabinoids are now available as animal supplements. Pharmacokinetically, these acidic cannabinoids are often superior to the neutral cannabinoids. The combinations of cannabinoids may also affect their bioavailability and has not been well studied. Pharmacokinetics and safety of 90-day administration of combination of CBGA and CBDA were examined in dogs. And I should say that this is coming from 3 different groups. One is Quicksilver Integrative Veterinary Sports Medicine and Rehabilitation in Spring, Texas. Another place is called Vet Sciences from South Portland, Oregon. And a third contributor is the Department of Clinical Sciences at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. So again, two veterinary businesses that are in the animal supplements business, and one animal hospital, so one vet hospital. So you know that their biology is going to be really spot on and good. Okay, so the methods were they chose 8 adult beagles between 10 and 11 kilograms. I think that's a good size beagle, regular size kind of beagle. Were provided and whole hemp blended extract, primarily CBDA at 1 milligram per kilogram body weight and CBGA at 1 milligram per kilogram body weight. Initial single dose of 24 hours. Pharmacokinetics were performed from days 2 to 90 in the dogs that were dosed similar at both 7 a.m. in the morning and 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Daily serum concentrations were taken. Serum is just a clinical term for blood, right? So they did blood evaluations to look at the different metabolites that they were observing of these cannabinoids. To steady state where they were examined at days 27, 57, and at day 90 when the study was completed. Complete blood counts, serum chemistry, and physical examination were performed at these time points to examine physiological effects. So they're not treating sick dogs. Like, unlike my dog that had a growth on its spleen, these dogs aren't sick. They're basically just treating to look for tolerability. Does it lead to, I don't know, any abnormal behavior? They would do it in dogs. I mean, obviously, these people literally have a dog in the fight, right? Because they're in the veterinary business. But ultimately, these dogs, these studies in dogs could be models for, you know, what happens in humans. So the results are as following. Both CBDA and CBGA were detected in the bloodstream. Using geometric methods, they were determined to be at 1.383 nanograms per hour per mil, or nanogram hours per mil, and 930 nanogram hours per mil, respectively, on a 24-hour pharmacokinetics assessment. Both minor cannabinoids and so CBCA and THCA were observed throughout the trial, while neutral cannabinoids such as CBD could not be found. Right? Super interesting, right? So they're giving them cannabinoids, I guess, whole plant extract, John, and they're not finding CBD in the bloodstream. I find that really interesting. So THCA and CBCA were observed in the serum of dogs at significant concentrations between 5 to 75 nanograms per liter. The other acidic cannabinoids, so the ones that they were putting in there, CBDA and CBGA, they were finding in a range of 10 to 175 nanograms per mil. So these cannabinoids are certainly getting in there. They were giving the dogs a soft gel chew, and they actually described in the paper that they had to actually put it in the dog's mouth and then hold the dog's mouth closed so the dog would actually take it. I guess maybe they didn't want to taste it or anything. And the physical exam of the dogs and the blood work were unremarkable, which is good. So in Jean's paper, they talked about tolerability. Was that the word they used, Jean? You're looking to how patients can tolerate these cannabinoids. This is more or less a study to basically answer that in dogs, right? So their conclusion was an equal blend of primarily CBDA and CBGA, whole plant acidic cannabinoid-rich oil, and soft gels appear to be well tolerated by dogs over a 90-day period with no adverse effects. I guess the types of adverse effects they would maybe expect to see, Jean, would be like lethargy or insomnia, right? Or any other kind of behavioral aberration that, versus control they wouldn't see. So I guess they didn't see any adverse effects. Pharmacokinetics are like CBDA and CBGA studies in dogs that have been already done, with surprising concentrations of the other minor cannabinoids, so THCA and CBGA or CBCA. While we know that THCA and CBCA have different pharmacology from CBGA and CBDA, so all this alphabet soup of full spectrum cannabinoids is probably good. So considering the favorable absorption and retention profile of the acidic cannabinoids, further research for therapeutic interventions for inflammatory disease, and this is the one that really caught my attention, organ dysfunction should be considered. So what my dog passed from, again, it had a growth on its spleen. We don't conclusively know that it was the growth that caused. So what happened was we woke up and this was our dog Floyd was kind of short of breath and he was struggling to breathe, and 15 minutes later he was gone. And what we surmise is that perhaps there was a rupture of this growth on his spleen, and perhaps his interperitoneal cavity was filling up with fluid and he was having difficult breathing because the last moments of his life he was kind of gasping for air. So maybe that, again, that's ultimately what he succumbed to. But I found this article to be super interesting. So dogs can tolerate levels of CBDA and CBGA. We think that these minor cannabinoids can do all kinds of great things for dogs and potentially humans, but I'm glad it's being studied, and I was happy to cover this article today at Have a High at 9.
Yeah. Jenny, what does Mickey Hart have to say about this, Jenny Beth?
I don't know what's asking. Come here, Mickey. Come here. Come here.
Your dog's name is Mickey Hart?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Look at that. Look at that, Mickey Hart. What do you think about this, Mickey Hart? It says that you can have some THCA all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't say that. I can tell you from, again, my own experience is that dogs are incredibly sensitive to THC.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about THCA. It's interesting that they didn't observe any effects that you would associate with THC, right, Jean? Because I know of dogs who have either eaten their owner's stash or dogs that have gotten into edibles, and a dog could certainly get intoxicated on CBD to where they're throwing up and they're not right, and it takes a couple days for them to kind of get back. But
Mickey certainly has an opinion on that because he ate a 300 milligram cake pop once, and it was a really rough experience for both of us. I ended up giving him pizza crust dipped in CBD isolate, but he was terrified and he was upset. He was peeing everywhere and he couldn't walk. He was high as
Interesting. Dr. T, what do you got to say about this? Our furry friends.
I'm a little confused by the study. Are they measuring the metabolized form of CBDA in the blood?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is basically, Jean, it's basically just a toleration. Can the dogs tolerate this? Do they see, side effects? I guess they would look for lethargy, because most dogs who succumb to THC intoxication will become lethargic. I mean, they just won't be themselves. They'll, in our case, we had played around with some full spectrum decarboxylated medicine, which is going to have delta-9 THC in there. And the dog got intoxicated and threw up and wasn't right for a little while. So we're like, okay, got to do THC free. And so focusing on hemp and hemp derived extracts even has a little THC in there. That little bit of THC can be enough to affect your canine.
Yeah, dosing matters.
Dosing matters. You're so right about.
dogs have way more endocannabinoid receptors than we do, Jason Beck.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. How many more?
3. It's biology. There's no standard number.
Is it different in breeds based off that number, or is it all dogs in general?
I don't know. I think ultimately they would have to do a demographic of all breeds, right? This is just very restricted to just a single breed, because kind of like when you're doing clinical trials, if you really want to start on a focused demographic, right, Jean? Because that way you can dial out all the other influences on the results, right? So could it be different in different breeds? Absolutely. I think this study was just saying, okay, let's just focus on this single breed, and then ultimately they'll probably end up doing different breeds. They were probably, what I imagine, Jean, they were doing here is they're interested in therapeutic intervention, but this was basically a dose finding study, right? They wanted to see, do the animals tolerate this dose? Maybe now that they know that they can tolerate this dose, maybe now they'll go after an infected group in kind of like a double-blind way, right? So do the dogs know what they're getting? No, they don't know what they're getting. So certainly if you can show data in that kind of format, you could definitely attribute to an improvement in the condition of the dogs due to the medicine that they're getting.
The only thing I would argue with is that I like a different approach. I like a broader approach and then narrowing in rather than picking a narrowed approach and then trying to find the differences between multiple narrowed approaches. I think that's more costly, takes longer to do, rather than start wide, cast a wide net, and then come up with some conclusions and come up with some hypotheses and then test your hypotheses. I think that'll be a cheaper way to do it. But maybe that's not their interest. Maybe they're getting funded by some big company. I don't know.
Maybe
well, there's two companies and an academic hospital, so go figure. And they're in the business of making veterinary medicines. So
I want to see Milkbone come out with THCA dog biscuits. That's what I want to see.
Probably THC free, I would imagine.
It'll probably be CBDA, is my guess.
CBDA, I'd be fine with that too. I'd be fine with that. But
there might be some out there already.
Oh, I'm sure they are, but they're not made by Milkbone. What's that?
You don't sell any dog stuff in your store?
No, we used to, but not. There's not enough people that buy it to justify it sitting on the shelf. But
we sold a lot in Colorado, but anyway.
I mean, we used to in medical days. We used to sell a lot, but like ever since adult use, it's nothing.
Maybe they're getting it online. They're just buying it online.
I'm sure they probably buy it online because a lot of it is hemp derived stuff and whatnot, and so the direct to consumer, it's the way to go. It's the way to go. The open and free market, and on that, we're gonna roll.
Well, healthcare costs for pets. I'm sorry, not pests.
Pests
is $1 billion industry. And being a pet owner, I can tell you that we categorically spend more on the health care of our animals than we do on our own health care. It is a gravy train, and the companies that are involved are making a lot of money. When you go in just for a simple procedure at a vet, bring your pocketbook. Dress poor and bring your pocketbook.
Mickey has like dog insurance. He has a plan through our vet now because his ear infection just cost me $288, and he has to have a biopsy. So, yeah.
Yep.
Once they tap into that money, you're going to be paying for that for the rest of that dog's life. I'm sorry. But once they realize that you have money, they're going to order all kinds of tests and all kinds of procedures. And it's
a racket. It's a total racket.
11, so he's 11, so we're getting to that age, that tender age.
It's a total racket. And on that,
you old man.
That tender age, we're going to roll into our final commercial. We're going to be right back.
As bad as Democrats,
The backstabbing rhino Republicans.
President Trump has fought and delivered, but liberal young Kim is a Trump hater. Kim voted to censure President Trump, but voted against censoring Adam Schiff.
I don't work for President Trump. I will oppose him in the strongest terms. I'm not running for the party of Trump.
Republicans proudly stand with President Trump, but not Trump-hating liberal young Kim. Americans for Security is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Bumps. Just boom, 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 boom. And I have a new study for you guys. Another one. CBD may reduce a key ketamine side effect while preserving antidepressant potential, you guys. A study published online today by the Journal of Biological Psychiatry reports that CBD may help reduce a major side effect of ketamine by targeting a specific receptor in the brain tied to movement and dopamine activity. Researchers from the University of Science and Technology of China examined how CBD interacts with ketamine in mice, focusing on the ventral tegmentral area, or VTA, a brain region involved in reward, motivation, and dopamine signaling. Although ketamine is known for producing rapid antidepressant effects, it can also trigger psychoactive side effects, including hyperlocomotion, which is linked to heightened dopaminergic activity. In the study, researchers found that CBD blocked ketamine-influenced hyperlocomotion after both systemic administration and direct administration into the VTA. Whole brain imaging showed that ketamine caused increased neuronal activity in the VTA, prefrontal cortex, and nucleus accumbens, and that this heightened activity was reduced when CBD was administered into the VTA and prefrontal cortex. The findings indicate that CBD's effect was mediated through glycine receptors, specifically glycine receptors, specifically GLY-RA1 in VTA neurons. According to the study, ketamine suppressed glycine receptor function, while CBD reversed that dysfunction by countering ketamine-driven delays in receptor activation. Researchers also found that CBD blocked ketamine-induced dysfunction of postsynaptic glycine receptors. Postsynaptic glycine receptors in the VTA. And when researchers tested mice with specific GLY-RA1 mutation, CBD no longer reduced ketamine-induced hyperlocomotion, providing further evidence that this signaling pathway is central to the effect. The study's authors say the results show that CBD may help separate ketamine's therapeutic benefits from at least some of its adverse effects, while also pointing to a specific molecular site that could be useful in the development of more precise treatments. And let me just say this study is not meant to tell you guys at home to try ketamine on your own because you're inducing yourself with CBD. You still need to be under a doctor's care. And that's my disclaimer, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
I didn't know that ketamine caused hyperlocomotion. I mean, maybe it's just in the mice.
I thought.
What does that mean, John?
It means like a restlessness, a fidgety, stimulating effect. Usually, ketamine is a K-hole, right?
I thought hyperlocomotion was just like a dance that people did in the 50s and 60s.
No, just fidgety.
Baby.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just on the beach in California.
Now, I think this paper is demonstrative of like all of these things going on in the brain, right? Mm-hmm. So there's this endocannabinoid system, there's the dopaminergic system, there's the muscarinic system, there's the nicotinic system, there's the serotoninogenic. So there's all these different systems, and they're all playing music to each other, right? Mm-hmm. So you inhibit one, you upregulate the other one. Right, we've talked about the dopaminergic one. That's the one that involves dopamine, which is the reward molecule. And so why would people feel reward after, I don't know, taking a joint or snorting a line of cocaine? And, these things are all related, right, Jean? You can't almost take one without including all the others, right? I mean, it's amazing that you could actually do science like this and actually see an effect and actually identify the receptors, because there's all kinds of crosstalk and just, right? I mean, it's super.
That's why you use multivariate analysis. And now we have that, in spades, we can apply it more and more. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's kind of like using artificial intelligence to explore real intelligence, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, like how our brain thinks and how we gather memories. And we talked about it last week. There's the recording of the memory, but then there's the retrieving of the memory, right? And all these systems, right, are having this effect. And,
and don't forget the environmental factors, right? Different settings.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Well, it's an environmental factor, right? That initiates the post-traumatic stress, right? So, like when you are exposed, whether you saw something terrible happen to your friend or your family member, and you can't get it out of your head, right? Cannabis helps you forget about that, right? So, post-traumatic stress, and so many other things, right? The K-hole, it's interesting you mentioned K-hole, Dr. T. So is it known what the physiological parameters of that part of the ketamine trip is? I mean, what's happening there?
I don't know. Well, I think essentially when they do ketamine therapy, they put you in a K-hole. So sort of this disassociative effect.
Mm-hmm. That was my understanding as well.
So biochemically, what's happening there? I mean, is that known and well understood? Do you know?
I think ketamine's hitting more than one receptors because I didn't even know it hit the glycine receptor.
Right.
I thought it hit the NMDA receptor.
Right. Right.
So now we're talking about
N-methyl-D-aspartic acid, which is a neurotransmitter molecule, for lack of a better term. It's basically an amino acid, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all these things play a role, right? And you can't affect one without affecting the others.
That's right. But I think that's just the way nature is, and I think we're finally coming around to acknowledging that.
Yeah.
And setting medicines with multiple targets.
Interesting. Well, I have one final story for you doctors today. Very, very interesting, because there's a new study, and they say that CBD and probiotics may work together to support the gut-brain axis, you guys. Look at that. A study published in CNS and Neurological Disorders, Drug Targets finds that cannabidiol, CBD, and probiotics may have complementary effects on the gut-brain axis, a communication system linking the digestive tract and central nervous system. According to the review, the combination could hold potential for helping address conditions tied to inflammation, mood, and neurological dysfunction. The review was conducted by researchers from Amity University who examined recent preclinical and clinical studies involving CBD, probiotics, and their effects on gut microbiota, immune signaling, neurotransmitters, and neuroinflammation. The researchers also looked at how the endocannabinoid system and microbiome-derived metabolites may interact in ways that influence brain function and overall neurological health. According to the findings, both CBD and probiotics appear capable of increasing gut microbial diversity, reducing pro-inflammatory cytokines, and boosting pro-inflammatory cytokines, and boosting the production of neuroactive compounds such as serotonin and short-chain fatty acids. These changes may help strengthen communication between the gut and brain, and including through the vagus nerve, while also it says VAGUS, not VEGUS.
Vegas.
Yeah, okay. The A is a long,
Okay, in the
city.
Vowel after
all right. Okay, all right. In the vagus nerve, while hitting a jackpot, while also influencing immune and inflammatory pathways that are tied to anxiety, depression, and certain neurodegenerative disorders. The researchers say these overlapping effects raise the possibility that CBD and probiotics may work better together than either one alone, and by targeting both neurological and immunological pathways through the gut-brain axis. The combination may represent a new strategy for addressing central nervous system disorders. And at the same time, the review makes clear that the evidence remains preliminary, and although animal and laboratory findings were described as promising, the researchers say human studies are still limited in both scale and duration. They conclude that more clinical trials are needed to determine ideal dosing, long-term safety, and how effective the combination may be in treating neuroimmune and neurological conditions, they say. Well, I think that is actually some good news, and maybe what you guys need is maybe some CBD in your Activia yogurt, possibly coming soon to a grocery store near you. What do you guys have to say about that?
Put it in the water.
Put it in the water. Hey, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. But this whole probiotic thing that, you know what I mean? And every time I hear about probiotics, it's usually in a yogurt commercial. So
that's what it is, right?
Yeah, that's when I see it the most. But I think we're going to start seeing some of these companies coming out with a CBD line. I think with more and more studies like this coming out. And so basically this basically helps you get rid of the stuff that's stuck inside of you a little bit easier, right? All the bad stuff, all those little toxins and everything.
Oh.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's got also antibacterial properties, CBD, so I wonder if that's contributing to it.
Right.
Interesting.
I'm sure it is.
Interesting.
But again, just maintaining homeostasis, right, John?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a common theme to all of these studies that Jason's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's cannabinoids' role in essentially, right?
It makes your body healthier, and so it helps combat all these conditions because it's making your body healthier. CBD in the water.
Is it actually making your body healthier, or is it actually just making your body work in the functionality that it was designed to function in the first place?
Well, that's healthier.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
You can say it that way. That's great. I like that way.
It's kind of like, if you have a car and it's supposed to take gasoline and you keep on putting rubbing alcohol in there, you still may be able to, optimize, and your engine still may be able to run, but it's not going to be operating at that optimal peak performance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We tend to do that a lot with the wrong fuel in our bodies.
That's right. All those sugar-based foods and all that, you know what I'm saying? All that bad stuff for you that's actually less tested than cannabis and just sold in every grocery store across America. Mm-hmm.
When is Schedule 3 happening?
I'm telling you, every day it's not happening. It's a day closer to happening, but I think we may be, I think Pam Bondi may be getting replaced pretty soon. Possibly in the near future. There's a high likelihood of that. I've been seeing my predictions being publicized in more and more publications. So we shall see.
And when are we getting out of this war? This war is deadly.
Wars are deadly just in general, Dr. T. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's a much longer conversation that we can have offline. But I'm more than happy to debrief you on the whole situation at hand. Yes. But on that, you guys, you know what I'm saying? We are going to promote gut health, because you have to have a strong gut if you want to manage to live in the United States. You know what I'm saying? And on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. And huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on and weed for the people. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. And thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Gabriel. They're somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.